Pro cuddling in New Zealand and Hawaii. For this episode, I chose to research what the cuddle industry is like in Oceania. I did not research literally every island or archipelago. By the way, archipelago simply means a group of islands. I speak to my boyfriend towards the end about why the cuddle industry is not as abundant outside of the US as it is in the mainland US. My boyfriend is Filipino and Chamorro. When I told him I was making an episode about the cuddle industry in the Pacific, he told me I would not find anything online, and sadly he was 90% right. I found information on professional cuddling mostly in Hawaii and New Zealand, but I did ask my boyfriend last night if he'd be open to making numerous podcast episodes about Oceania. They won't be cuddle related. I am on the fence about if I should make more public bonus episodes. I very recently made a public bonus episode. You can watch it on YouTube. When I say bonus episode, I mean it's not going to be on Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms. If I mispronounce something, if I present something as truth when I'm actually wrong, please call me out. I am East Asian. I am not Pacific Islander. I was raised in the mainland US, so don't expect me to have perfect pronunciation of Maori or Hawaiian words. Let's start with New Zealand. New Zealand is known as Aotearoa by the native Maori people. Maori people are Polynesian. The most commonly spoken languages in Aotearoa are English, Te Reo Maori, and Samoan. The population is over 5 million people. The biggest industries are iron ore mining, fishing, and timber. New Zealand ships timber to Australia, the US, Japan, China, and South Korea. I found some New Zealand professional cuddlers on Cuddle Comfort and Cuddle Companions. They were all trans women or cis women. Not a large quantity of providers. You'd have to go to Australia to find male professional cuddlers. The moderators of Cuddle Comfort group New Zealand and Australia statistics together, which irks me. I found New Zealand newspapers talk about American professional cuddlers, which is okay. I wish New Zealand newspapers would focus on New Zealand providers, especially those of Maori descent. I found a New Zealand advertisement for a weighted blanket. I also found an article about Air New Zealand Sky Couch. According to a short 2011 article, the quote-unquote cuddle class is only available for flights between Auckland and Los Angeles or London. I don't know if quote-unquote cuddle class is currently available for flights to San Francisco or Vancouver or Honolulu or Hong Kong. The cuddle class seating makes it so that passengers can lie down like an actual mattress. Journalists in 2011 said that Air New Zealand is the first airline to, quote, rethink economy class, unquote, in decades. Unfortunately, there are no chapters of Cuddle Party in New Zealand, and for those of you who are new to my podcast, Cuddle Party is a company that started, I think, over 10 years ago. When I talk about Cuddle Party, like in my most recent interview with Dr. D, link for that interview will be in the show notes. When I talk about Cuddle Party, the company, I typically say Cuddle Party with a capital C and capital P. The company Cuddle Party has strict rules on what can be classified as a Cuddle Party TM. They have their own website where you can look through all their chapters. There are numerous chapters in Northern California. Alas, there are no chapters of Cuddle Party in New Zealand. It is 2022 as I say this. Perhaps in the past they had chapters. I presume if a chapter becomes inactive, then they'll just remove it from their website and they'll add it back once it's active again. Sadly, that's all I have to say about what the cuddle industry is like in New Zealand. If you are a New Zealand cuddle provider, I would love to interview you. Or if you just have more resources on the cuddle industry in New Zealand, please send it my way. Please make sure whatever website you're using does not have a paywall, because I refuse to pay for online news. I repudiate that. But moving on to Hawaii, I have so many notes about Hawaii. Hawaii is an archipelago in Polynesia. The population is over 1 million people. The official languages are Hawaiian and English. The biggest industries are tourism, fishing, and agriculture, especially macadamia nuts and coffee. Cuddle Companions barely has any providers in Hawaii. All of their Hawaii providers are women. Cuddle Comfort has more Hawaii providers, but also only women. So if you want a male professional cuddler, you would have to go all the way to the mainland. I tried perusing cuddleparty.com to look up cuddle party facilitators in Hawaii. It wasn't that user-friendly, okay? There's a drop-down menu for countries, a drop-down menu for state and a drop-down menu for city. There used to be a cuddle party chapter in Hawaii, but it's no longer. That's why you won't find it on the website nowadays. So I chose United States because the US colonized Hawaii. It's legally recognized as the 50th state. But the results page featured both American and Canadian cuddle party facilitators, which is strange because when I chose Australia, the results were purely Australian facilitators. So whoever manages that website, please fix this bug. I literally found out there used to be a Honolulu chapter of Cuddle Party through browsing Facebook. Honolulu Cuddle Party, the page is still available. It's not active, but you can access the existing page. So Honolulu Cuddle Party premiered on Facebook on June 23rd, 2016. The manager of the Facebook page, I believe, is Erica Scott. The first ever official cuddle party in Honolulu occurred only 2 days later on June 25th, 2016. Let me read the event description. I will not announce the address, although the address is still there. The duration is 3 hours and 30 minutes from 9:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. Wow, that is very late in the day. I've only been to cuddle parties that start at around 1 p.m. in the day. It says you don't have to RSVP on Facebook. The description reads, I'm very excited to announce Honolulu's first official cuddle party, capital C, capital P. My name is Erica, nicknamed Tika, and I became a certified cuddle party facilitator last year and moved to Honolulu in January. I am so pleased to be able to bring the phenomenon/experience that is cuddle party, capital C, capital P, to the wonderful people of Honolulu. Cuddle Party is a non-sexual and drug and alcohol-free event for people 18 and older. It is about kindness and compassion and inclusivity, and it is fun. I hope to see you Saturday evening at Susan's place. The party starts promptly at 6:30. Oh, okay, so maybe my computer changed it so that it's Pacific time for me. I'm in Pacific time zone. And please arrive between 6 and 6:30 p.m. Dress comfortably, think cozy, not sexy, and feel free to bring a pillow. Tickets available at, and then it has this Eventbrite link. Obviously, you can no longer buy tickets to this event as it was in 2016. I'm visiting Erica Scott's, aka Tika's, Eventbrite page. It says, Erica Tika Scott hosted 16 events total. There's the follow button. I am a cuddle party facilitator with over 50 years of experience cuddling, so she's over 50, and very excited to bring this subversive, joyful event to Honolulu. I have worn many hats in my life, from community organizer to team leader to mother and auntie, all combining beautifully into this very fun role. It has a contact organizer button. All of that is provided by Eventbrite. Okay, I'm looking through her past events. Wow, I can see the pricing for all of her previous events, even though, oh my, Erica has relocated from Hawaii to India. Oh my gosh, listeners, I am finding this out in real time. Congratulations, Erica Tika Scott, if you're listening to this, for hosting India's first cuddle party. I'm definitely going to have to make an episode about the cuddle industry in India, but going back to the original topic, the Facebook event page says the Eventbrite link. You can find out just about everything about Cuddle Party at cuddleparty.com. If you go to that site and read the FAQ and still have more questions, don't hesitate to contact me at, then there's Tika's email address and then Tika's phone number. So there's that June 25th, 2016 Cuddle Party. The subsequent one was July 9th, 2016, and the next one was August 6th, 2016. So the Honolulu Cuddle Parties were about a month apart, and I'm not going to bother reading the descriptions for all of those. Erica Scott shares to her personal Facebook page several articles written about professional cuddling from Playboy and CBS, but unfortunately those links are now broken. Maybe if you use the Wayback Machine you can read it. I am not going to bother with that. Scott shared one Huffington Post article about cuddle parties in Seattle. I did briefly talk about Seattle in a previous episode of my podcast. Unfortunately, there was not much for me to find. As I was writing notes for this episode, I could not find anything for Seattle in the official Cuddle Party website. If you're in Seattle, perhaps you should complete the Cuddle Party Facilitator course and bring cuddle parties to Seattle, or bring cuddle parties back to Seattle. There's a lot of people who live there who need cuddles. I digress. Erica Scott's last status update was on November 6, 2021. In that status update, she announces she has published a book for consent educators, and to this day, it is the only book Scott has published. A little disclaimer about Pro Cuddle Hustle: I do not accept any sponsorships. I refuse to shill for corporate corporations, and I'm certainly not paid for by Erica Scott or anyone else I name drop in this podcast episode. The only funding I really get are my patrons on Patreon, so shout out to everyone who supports me there. I recently uploaded a professionally filmed dance video, and the rest of the internet will not watch it on YouTube until November 3rd, which is in a few days. But going back to Erica Scott, the last thing I'm going to say is Scott is managing this one website with 3 other individuals. I don't recognize them, but the website is creatingconsentculture.com. And these 4 individuals help people build a career in teaching consent to teens and tweens. I will not read everything about their fall 2022 certification course, but it seems like Erica Scott is doing magnificent things even though they're no longer a Honolulu cuddle party facilitator. Parents listening to this, please talk to your children about consent, regardless of how young or old they are. And if you have a younger sibling, a much younger cousin, whomever, please talk to them about consent. I don't think parents should be the only relatives who talk to you about consent. Moving forward, there is a Hawaii cuddle agency called Aloha Cuddle Company. I spoke about them briefly in episode 8 titled Cuddle Companies and Branding. Aloha Cuddle Company has a Yelp page, Instagram, and Facebook. According to their Yelp page, their business address is in Honolulu, which is on the island of Oahu. They have only 11 reviews ranging from 2015 to 2019. Literally 5-star reviews all across the board. The business was founded by Lialyn Paponi. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Paponi founded ACC in 2015. When their website was still active, they had female cuddlers of varying races. Please do not confuse events coordinated by Honolulu Cuddle Party and events coordinated by Aloha Cuddle Company. HCP events are coordinated by Erica Scott. ACC events are coordinated by Lialyn Paponi. Some ACC are coordinated by Paponi and this spiritual 501c3 collective called High Vibe Tribe Sanctuary. So those collaborative events are called Cuddle and Love. And word for word, Cuddle and Love says, cuddling is an act of pure physical communication. It's how we express our affection, our connection, devotion, vulnerability, and generosity. Within the simple act of an embrace, 2 people can be joined together in such an intense bond that words no longer serve a purpose. The cuddle says it all. But what if we took one of the greatest pleasures of life and combined it with questions that were specifically formulated to increase bonding and intimacy between 2 people? While your bodies are tied up in knots and the oxytocin is flowing, let's take advantage and really intermingle those open hearts. Cuddle and Love is a 2-part series. In part 2, you and your partner will be guided through 15 cuddle positions and 15 questions specifically designed by psychologist Arthur Aaron to make 2 people fall in love. Whether it be platonic love, romantic love, or puppy love, be prepared to share your mind, body, and soul with another human in a way you've never experienced. Part 1 featured 15 different positions and questions. Participants will not need to attend part 1 in order to attend part 2. Bring your lover, friend, brother, mother, anyone you love or want to learn to love. The type of intimacy, love, and affection we will be creating here isn't about sex. It goes delightfully deeper than that. Pupus? Vegan and gluten-free will be provided. Pupus? I don't know how to pronounce that. Is that a Hawaiian food? Price $32 per couple. This workshop is limited to 8 couples. Registration on our Eventbrite is required. Link below. Singles can email Lialyn at alohacuddlecompany.com for consideration. The ACC Facebook page has 1,000 followers, and the most recent status update is from 2020. They surpassed 400 likes in 2015. I'm surprised that ACC has no reviews on Facebook. It says ACC is, quote, no longer taking on new clients, unquote. The ACC Instagram has over 2,000 followers. The ACC Instagram hasn't been updated since 2020. The account redirects people to an IG page of a cuddler who is not Lialyn. I don't know if they were ever in the ACC directory. On March 1st, 2017, the Facebook page for Aloha Cuddle Company announced that a person named Celeste Indvik would become co-owner of ACC. Felicity. That day in March, Invik shared a photo of a magazine article. The magazine is Hawaii Business in their section titled Trending Now. The article discusses how old Invik is, which was 25 in 2017, where she was born and raised, which is Orange County, California. Invik got her bachelor's degree from Hawaii Pacific University to become a labor and delivery nurse. I was genuinely shocked to read that Invik says she gets paid between $20 to $40 an hour for cuddling. $20 an hour is nothing, and I know that the cost of living in Hawaii is astronomical, like Bay Area prices. So $20 is nothing. I'm sorry, Invik, if you're listening to this, but it really is nothing. She discusses in the magazine what it takes to be a professional cuddler. She says the hardest part of her job is explaining to others the nature of her livelihood. I found a travel website called Lonely Planet. I don't know why they're called that, but they have an article on fun things to do in Oahu. The article was published in 2017 and is a quick 4-minute read. I'm assuming most travel blogs about Oahu or Hawaii overall discuss surfing and snorkeling, but the Lonely Planet gave a shout out to Aloha Cuddle Company. They say, quote, touch has been proven to have incredible healing powers, and Aloha Cuddle Company offers to crank up the curative properties by offering not just contact, but cuddles. This locally owned business will send a professional cuddler to you to hug, sit, sing, read, or watch a movie, all while trying different positions from the Cuddle Sutra book by Rob Grader to promote the body's release of oxytocin, boost the immune system, and provide pain and stress relief, unquote. I'm gonna be honest, I found a flyer on the ACC Facebook page for an event that occurred in 2015. I don't know if they ever made an official Facebook event page for it, but I really don't understand the event flyer. It says 28 ways to love, tagline, 28 cuddle positions, and 28 questions that lead to love. So is it a cuddle party that isn't facilitated by a person from Cuddle Party? Capital C, capital P. If you're unaware of what psychologist Arthur Aaron is most known for, he is notable for conducting a study for making strangers fall in love with each other by asking 36 questions in a specific order. I don't know why they have to be read in that order. I'm sure if you ask someone those 36 questions in a different order, there's still a high likelihood that y'all are gonna fall in love, but don't ask me about this. This is not a psychology podcast. The flyer then goes on to say Friday, July 17th at Proto Hub, Kiawe Street. I googled Proto Hub, and some sources say it's an entertainment venue you can rent, whereas others say it's an H Mart. Yes, the Korean supermarket H Mart. So I am going to take a wild guess and assume it used to be an entertainment venue that went out of business in 2020. Unless you consider H Mart to be entertaining or at least stimulating enough to recall memories of your late mother in. I still haven't finished reading the book Crying in H Mart. It's sad. The flyer features a link to buy tickets. Prepay by July 10 for only $34 per couple. So I don't know if people were allowed to show up by themselves. It would make sense for everyone who showed up without a cuddle buddy to just cuddle each other. Hey, maybe they'll fall in love. I don't know if there was an early bird pricing or VIP pricing, as the link to buy tickets is no longer supported. It doesn't use heterocentric language, which I approve of. If you attended the 28 Ways to Love event, will you please tell me how it was? Isn't it strange how whoever managed the ACC Facebook page uploaded the flyer on July 7, which is 3 days before ticket sales ended? I mean, now that I read this out loud, maybe this is a flyer that should have been deleted because originally maybe Aloha Cuddle Company and High Vibe Tribe Sanctuary originally planned on their Cuddle and Love event to be a one-time thing, but then they decided it's better to split it up into a part 1 and part 2. But that doesn't make sense, right? Because the psychologist Arthur Aaron was a stickler about these are the 36 questions that lead to love, and you have to read it in this specific order. And I'm assuming that the psychologist intended for people to ask these questions all in one sitting, to not take a break in between. So I don't know. I really don't know. Another 2015 status update from Aloha Cuddle Company contains several photos, and the caption reads, quote, "Our two cuddlers, Lealyn and Tyler, were interviewed yesterday by Chance Nakazato from Leeward Community College for their on-campus publication Kamana'o. The article comes out in November. I don't speak Hawaiian, so will someone please tell me what Kamana'o means? Also, I didn't know that Leeward Community College existed until now. So if you somehow attend that community college or used to attend college there, do y'all still have this on-campus publication? Do y'all like archive it online? Is it free to view the archive? Because if this interview got published, I would like to read it. In September of 2017, ACC partnered with a fundraiser concert. Not much information was given. Basically, on September 30, 2017, there was a concert at the Onking Arts Center in Honolulu with 20 musicians headlining. I don't know if donations went towards the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. There are a bajillion different suicide prevention collectives you can donate to. Apparently, ACC had a booth at the Suicide Awareness Music fundraiser. I quote, "Our booth will include cuddly warm packs infused with essential oil, $1 hugs, and a $5 for 5-minute snuggle from one of our super cute Cuddle Cafe menu." Honestly, $5 for 5 minutes is not that bad, especially if it's for a good cause. Certainly better than $20 for an hour. Where was I? Cuddle Cafe menu, where you get to pick which position you want to cuddle in. Please come support our beautiful community. All proceeds are used to help spread suicide awareness worldwide. The change starts with you. Spread awareness and love. You are never truly alone. Unquote. On July of 2018, Paponi was interviewed on Power 104.3, which is Hawaii's hit music radio station. I don't think they have a recording of this on SoundCloud or wherever else you would share it, like YouTube. If by any chance I have a listener who listened to this radio interview on July 2018 and you remember it, please tell me what you remember. In August of 2018, ACC advertised duo cuddles, which costed only $80 an hour. They also started advertising pro bono cuddles to disabled/elderly individuals. Honestly, I feel like that conversation is a whole can of worms. It's a story for another day. In December 2018, ACC was interviewed by KITV Island News, which is the Hawaii affiliate of ABC News. So ACC was both featured on television and online. But sadly, the KITV article is now defunct. So if you watched the segment on TV, please tell me what it was like, because I didn't watch it in 2018. Around January of 2019, Aloha Cuddle Company began tagging Leanne Paponi's personal Facebook page in several of their status updates. Like when the Cuddle and Love events began occurring at Kapiolani Park, those events confirmed to include the 36 love questions that Arthur Aaron incorporated in his infamous psychology study. So this is the description of the event that happened in Kapiolani. What if we took one of the greatest pleasures in life, parentheses, cuddling, and combined it with questions that were specifically formulated to increase bonding and intimacy between two people? Okay, I've said this all before. Note, this is not a cuddle puddle. You will only be experiencing and sharing your partner. Okay, I'm glad they confirmed this is not a cuddle party. Blah, 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 delightfully deeper than that. We'll be in the section to the right of the Diamond Head tennis courts. Plenty of free parking, lush grass, and lots of shade, love from the trees. It's oh so very peaceful over there. Singles are welcomed to attend to be partnered with another single. If there is an odd number of attendees, you may be partnered with Lealin. Suggested donation of $10 per person. Bring a blanket and pillow. Oh, okay, so once they started doing Cuddle and Love at Kapiolani Park, it seems like there is no part 1 or part 2. They're cruising through all 36 questions from the Arthur Aaron case study. Well, it's nice that they considered what to do if there's an odd number of single attendees. In February of 2019, ACC shared a link about a professional cuddler making $100 an hour with the only caption, "We charge only $60 per hour." So that indicates to me that the Hawaiian Cuddle Agency controls how much their cuddlers charge. And it's below market price. Ouch. They then share photos of their new business cards. So that is all I have to say about what the cuddle industry is like in Hawaii. Unfortunately, there's not much I can say about what it's like in 2022. Same thing applies to New Zealand. But wait, this podcast episode is still not over, because now we're transitioning to the portion in which I talk to my boyfriend, who is Chamorro. So yeah, he's not Polynesian, but he is Micronesian, which is part of Oceania. We are going to discuss my accessibility theories and my social theories as to why the cuddle industry is not thriving in the Pacific. I think next podcast episode, I'm just gonna talk about Hawaii and New Zealand, because if I try to relay literally all the research I did on Oceania it's just gonna be too long. People are gonna zone out. You're probably gonna zone out. I don't know. I just think it's good to split things up to make it more palpable.
I mean, you are talking about different countries in the biggest ocean in the world, so I'd imagine there's a lot that you've looked into.
A lot of rabbit holes to go down.
Yes.
Today I went down a rabbit hole about the Chuuk Islands, and I'm excited to talk to you about that, but I'm not going to talk to you about that right now.
Ooh, the Chuuk Islands. Did you get there because you were looking up stuff from Guam or Micronesia, or how'd you get to the Chuuk Islands?
Wikipedia.
Huh, okay.
I remember telling you that I was going to make an episode about what the cuddle industry is like in the Pacific, and then you told me that I was not going to find anything. You are 90% correct.
Okay.
And yes, I recorded myself saying that, so you can listen to it forever.
Wait, Pacific Islands? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Wait, did you include Australia and New Zealand in that?
I treat Australia like it's its own thing, but yeah, I did my research on New Zealand.
Australia is technically part of Oceania. So is the 10% of cuddle things, is that in New Zealand?
I also treated Hawaii like its own thing. Hawaii, to me, it's like a city-state, like Singapore. It deserves its own category.
Yes, but I guess in the scope of Pacific Islands, I think they all fall under the category of Pacific Islands.
I don't want to have a border dispute. I thought you would be more upset that I didn't say you were 100% correct.
I'm a little confused at what we're talking about right now, so go ahead, keep going. Whatever it is you want to bring up and talk to me about.
I came up with 2 different lists of theories as to why the cuddle industry is just not thriving in the Pacific as much as other continents, such as North America. So the first list is purely theories that pertain to accessibility. And then my second list is just social, societal, cultural reasons. I really hope we don't start bickering because, I mean, I listen to our audio clips. I normally just get really sensitive and offended towards the end. Okay. What? Like, I listen back and I cringe when, my tone of voice shifts.
Mood.
I love you.
I like how you put it close to my face as soon as you said I love you, expecting me to say I love you too.
Okay, you know what? Forget it. I'm not gonna hear you say I love you back.
It's okay. I love you back.
Say it louder.
I love you back.
I love you too. Number 1, and this is the accessibility list. Most non-Pacific people know very little about Pacific nations. Even Pacific Islanders don't know everything there is to know about Oceania. Why advertise an already niche service in a country that only an esoteric group of people know of, when you could advertise it in a country that most people are aware of, like Britain?
Okay.
You could, raise your hand if you want me to put the mic next to you, but I see that one of your hands is very occupied right now. Okay, number 2. If someone were to make a living through pro cuddling in a Pacific country, not the Philippines or Hawaii, most of their clientele would be tourists and not locals. Maintaining regulars would be more difficult.
I'd categorize Philippines as Southeast Asian, not a Pacific Islander.
Okay, so I stated that I think it is possible to be a professional cuddler in Hawaii and not have to rely solely on tourists bringing you revenue. There's a lot of people who live in Hawaii.
No.
No? It's still mainly tourists?
Yeah, I would. Well, okay, so I feel like it wouldn't be plausible. So Hawaii has a really high cost of living, and I think here's how I think of it. So the reason why pro cuddling in the Bay Area is manageable, even though the Bay Area has a high cost of living, I feel like the Bay Area also has a pretty high median household income. People here have the finances to pay for something that could be viewed as therapeutic. So it's an extra expense, right? They can afford that. Whereas in Hawaii, it kind of sucks because you have a high cost of living, but also I don't think wages match the high cost of living. So the way that you would, I guess, somehow get a manageable way of living is if you had tourists.
In my mind, the most viable place in the Pacific to make a livelihood out of this is Hawaii, because I feel like a lot of people in the mainland and outside of the United States, their retirement plan is to move to Hawaii, is it not? And retired people have money.
I mean, yeah, but okay, based on how many people do you see that are retired?
I will say I don't really get along with boomers, okay? I've had traumatic experiences of boomers trying to book me. And even if I tried to only have boomer boomer or Gen X clientele, I think the non-creepy ones are mainly gonna cuddle the professional cuddlers who are at least 30 years old. So maybe after I turn 30, my opinion is gonna change. But as of right now, as someone who's only been cuddling between 19 to 23 years of age, even though there is a demographic of people who are retired, I do mainly cuddle those who are still working.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I could totally be wrong about this. I don't think retired people in Hawaii would be, I guess, savvy enough to know that this thing exists, let alone be paying for it. But also, how many retired people in Hawaii have the finances to do this enough so that way you can make a living, just one person, when there could be, I don't know, anywhere between tens to maybe hundreds of professional cuddlers in Hawaii, maybe. And then they all have to have their cost of living covered with the professional cuddling. I don't know. I just feel like it's
I
very...
see what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it doesn't
make everyone happy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem economically viable in Hawaii. I don't know. I'm not an economist. Who knows?
I mean, I do think you're thinking rationally.
Thank you. Usually unhinged with my takes. Oh, less cringe, more unhinged.
Isn't unhinged cringe?
I think that's the irony in the statement.
Okay, let's dissect the second part of my most recent statement. So do you think maintaining regulars would be difficult if it's mostly tourists? Because I'm pretty sure there are some people who either live in the mainland US or elsewhere who do travel to Hawaii at least once a year, maybe multiple times a year.
Okay, think of it this way. You're saying that retired people would be...
Wait, do you want to go back to that conversation?
Well, yeah, because it's kind of related, right? So you say like retired people are the ones that would, retired people have money. They might be the ones that support you, right? As a person who provides like cuddling appointments. But I mean, we were in Guam. We went to a couple strip clubs. Actually, I think we only went to one. There were like no retired people in there. They were all like...
I was not paying attention to that. I was too busy mesmerized and captivated by boobies and pussy.
Also, you're mesmerizing and captivating everyone else at the thing because
thank you
went
so
on
much.
But no, the only people that were in there were tourists and possibly like locals because they...
No military?
Oh, so I kind of grouped that in together. Kind of grouped tourists and military people in the same...
I think they get their own category.
Sure, you can do that if you want to break it up. So you have the military, you have tourists, and then you had the locals, but for the most part it was just military people, I think, were the majority of the people in there. This was like right when things were starting to open again. So before the pandemic and everything, the people that would go there are tourists. It's just how it is, because it's the location. I've never heard of any strip clubs outside of the main tourist strip.
Okay, so I totally believe you because you grew up in Guam, but for the listeners who have never been to Guam and they would not know how to differentiate a local and a tourist, I am absolutely a tourist. I never lived in Guam before, but you grew up in Guam, so...
I guess technically I'm like a local tourist because I moved away for like...
Do local tourists get their own category?
Oh shit, okay.
That would be very confusing.
Maybe, I don't know, but I mean, no, we're just fucking around now, right?
Okay.
The majority of the people that go to those things are tourists. So the tourists are the people that go to these places with money. You were talking about retired people have money. Tourists have money. Tourists go to Guam to buy like 10 Louis Vuitton bags from duty free because there's no taxes. So they buy it tax free and then they bring it to Japan and they just like fucking give it to their friends or whatever. A lot of the times these tourists come with a boatload of money. That's why like Guam suffered really badly, and I'm sure Hawaii did too during the pandemic, because the main source of income was tourism, and that got fucked over because of COVID.
We both have very, very similar views on the military, but let's just say someone in a very militarized island was able to make a lot of money off of military people through providing therapeutic services. Do you think that's viable? Do you think they wouldn't have to worry, oh, maybe my like favorite regular is gonna get relocated to a different army base?
Oh, like getting stationed somewhere else?
I don't know if you call yourself a military brat, but you're the one who comes from a military family. I don't, so I don't really feel like I can speak on this.
First of all, I do not come from a military family.
Your dad was in the Navy, was he not?
Yeah, but I was not raised by my dad.
Sorry.
So I don't think that would consider me a military brat, because aren't military brats the people
You do have Navy Federal.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, I'm going to take advantage of my dad not raising me as a kid.
Okay, Okay,
Bye.
maybe we should go back to the
Anyways,
main point.
so I don't think so. Well, let me just answer it right away. No, I don't think so. That's a short answer. Long answer is, if you somehow find someone who is in the military who has tons of expendable cash, this person has to be someone who's really high ranked. And if they're high ranked, they probably are staying in Guam for a really long time. That person probably making six figures. I think regular GIs, when they come out of basic, I think they only make $25,000 a year, something like that. It's disgustingly low.
What does that stand for?
The people who go into basic training.
General information?
Oh, GI? I don't know. I can Google it real quick. I'm getting nervous because you put it right next to me, and I feel like people can hear me mistype.
No one can see that.
Galvanized iron.
Okay, we're wasting time. Number 3 in my accessibility list of theories is limited places to cuddle. If someone lives in a place like Chuuk and they don't want to cuddle customers within their house, there aren't many other private places like hotels available. I looked at the official website of the Chuuk Islands today, and it looks like it has not been updated since the late 90s. You remember what websites in the 90s looked like, right?
That sounds right.
So I looked at their list of hotels, and I think there are only 4 hotels, and I cannot promise that all of those hotel links are still active. But I looked at one hotel, and I was like, okay, they have at least one hotel in the Chuuk Lagoon. Number 4, car dependency. It is difficult to work any kind of job without a car. If you live in a place like Guam, yes, there is public transit, but some buses only arrive once per 6 hours. There are taxis, but they're definitely not as plentiful as other places like San Francisco and New York City. If you live in Tumon Bay, maybe hotels are a walking distance from your house, but unfortunately, most hotels in Guam are in Tumon.
Yeah, I think there are only a couple that are outside of Tumon.
Accessibility issue number 5. Even if time and money and location are not issues, unless someone has their own personal airplane, they are at the mercy of commercial airlines and commercial ferries. I looked up how to travel from Saipan to American Samoa, and the results were pretty abysmal. By the way, Saipan is an island in the Marianas Archipelago, and American Samoa and Samoa on paper are different things, and so for simplicity's sake, I'm just referring to American Samoa for this example. If you want to travel from Saipan to American Samoa or American Samoa to it's so bleak. You already know. You grew up in Guam. You know how it is. But the bleak itinerary, number 1, I found a 27-hour one-way trip with 2 stops. So over an entire day.
Oh, one-way ticket. Got it.
Yeah. The first layover is in South Korea. And then the second transfer layover place is in Hawaii.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. There are no direct flights usually from... I feel like you would have to be in one of the major airports in the Pacific for you to get to these islands. So I saw Fiji somewhere in there. I'm sure you're going to talk about Fiji because fucking Survivor, right?
Yes, go on.
Yeah, so it makes sense that for Hawaii, you need to go through Hawaii to get to American Samoa. I'm sure you can also do it through Guam, but I know for sure that to get to Saipan, you have to go through Guam. Say we were flying from San Francisco, there are no direct flights to Saipan. It's just there's not that much demand for it. So you would have to go through Guam, a smaller airport, and then from there you would take like a charter plane.
Then we're stuck in this weird-ass limbo where they're like, we can't have more flights if there isn't more demand, but is there going to be more demand? It's like the same conversation with public transit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're saying like if there were more flights, there'd be more demand?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think so. I mean, most people here in the States are like, oh, we should go to Hawaii for vacation. They're not like, ooh, let's go to America Samoa for vacation, or let's go to Saipan for vacation. The only reason you know about Saipan is because you met me.
And you're my very, very sexy Chamorro boyfriend.
But yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you add more flights, like, unless you know someone or you somehow do Wikipedia rabbit holes, you're not going to find out about it.
That is true. When I was looking up itineraries, I found a 27-hour one-direction trip, 2 stops, the first in South Korea and the second in Hawaii. And then I found an itinerary that included both plane and ferry, but the ferry is intended for car owners, just to make things even more inaccessible. The ferry flight itinerary goes. Take plane from Saipan to Guam. Take plane from Guam to Tokyo. Take plane from Tokyo to Fiji. Take plane from Fiji to Samoa's capital city, Apia. And then take a car ferry that only comes once a week from Apia to American Samoa. And I don't know what the laws are in Samoa, but there is a chance that you may need to be 25 years of age to rent a car. I fucking cried when I saw that itinerary.
Yeah.
So inaccessible or so inconvenient. I don't know what's the best word to use.
Oh wow, 27 hours for all that. That's wild. Okay.
But I would love to go to all of those places with you.
Sure, if you want to.
I would love to.
I don't know if I'd want to go through that though.
Number 6, upfront costs. Not every single person can afford upfront costs. Some people live paycheck to paycheck. Some people are survival sex workers. And in the mainland US, thankfully I was never fired from any vanilla jobs for doing sex work. And if I was blacklisted, even from an entire mall, it would not be the end of the world because there are so many vanilla jobs in the Bay Area. Now, if someone in American Samoa was doing sex work and vanilla work simultaneously, there's only so many other businesses they could get employed at if they get blacklisted. Me being the hoe I am, I just had to include something for the host. I do kind of like shielding your eyes from my list because I see you peeking over at my computer whilst you're using your computer. You're spoiling it for yourself. On the other hand, I don't think I have listed every single social reason as to why my industry is not thriving in the Pacific. My hypothesis is that the following reasons are also why professional cuddling is not more mainstream in the mainland US. Number 1, many people don't know that professional cuddling exists. I feel like I don't need to expand on that. Number 2, people believe platonic touch is courtship. Simply put, platonic touch is a precursor to romance and or sexual contact. My boyfriend just nodded. Number 3, people are socialized to not ask for what they want. Many are not taught about consent and try to suppress their desire for platonic touch.
I don't know.
A lot of people aren't educated on consent.
I was.
Okay, I'm glad you were educated on it.
I mean, I'm sure that other people were too. Like,
I'm sure as well.
I don't know where you got that statistic.
Consent is about saying no to the things you don't want and saying yes to the things you do want. So I felt a need to include that because number 3 is people are socialized to not ask for what they want and try to suppress their desires.
Kind of. The wording on that is interesting.
I'm gonna bring gender into this because as a woman, I am socialized to not ask for what I want and to just accept whatever life throws at me. But I have been told by other women that men are socialized to ask for what they want, and that's why they incessantly badger women for sex even when they're like, no, sex is not on the table.
Okay.
Is that it?
Is what it?
The reason why you and I had differing stances on number 3?
No, so I wasn't necessarily thinking about sex. I was just thinking like, I have a family at home that I'm taking care of, but I want to buy a really nice lunch for myself. Even though I know that we're like low on cash and I just got paid and this cash will really help out the entire family, I don't care. I want to buy myself lunch.
When I said people are socialized to not ask for what they want, I didn't literally mean any want a human being can have. I was referring to platonic touch. So it seems like both of us believe people are socialized to not ask for what they want. But I think you and I, like the explanation behind that is different between you and I.
I can't remember the word. To bring to harmony. Oh, anaphemaulic. It's literally a word. The concept of restoring harmony or order to something that was once altered. Yeah, anaphemaulic kind of like has this sense of to restore harmony to a community. And this has nothing to do with cuddling. I'm saying that you said that people in the Pacific Islands tend to not ask for what they want. And I'm saying that one possible reason why this may be is because the way that we were raised is we were raised based on this community mentality versus this individualist mentality. I'm just saying that the considerations that go into asking for a cuddling appointment, there's a different mentality because someone is an individualist versus someone who cares more about the community.
Yes or no? Do you think you were conditioned to suppress desire for platonic touch?
No.
Well, I'm happy about that.
I don't think I was. I can't think of anything that would suggest that.
Because when I was in elementary school, sometimes I would hug my female friends, and then other female classmates will say, ew, that's gay. And then I would have to bring it to the teacher, and then I would not want it to have to escalate to me talking to a teacher to talk to another kid for me, you know?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I take it back. The kids used to say that too. I don't know if I cared. I think I would say we definitely had those instances where people would be like, oh, you hugged someone else who's a boy and you're a boy. Ooh, that's gay, man. And then I don't think it ever affected me mentally. I think I still, how old was I? I was in high school. I think I may have been like a senior or something. Went to my friend's house and to sleep over, I think we were having a sleepover. He literally like was just going to sleep like he normally sleeps. He sleeps in his underwear. And then I think I may have also stripped down too. But yeah, we were just like laying back to back. No one gave a fuck.
We rarely sleep back to back.
I think this may have been like the height of the no homo thing where
there was a no homo movement.
Well, yeah, it was just like an excuse to like do something that was very questionable, but then you're like, oh, it's totally fine, bro. I said the thing.
What are these questionable things? I may regret asking this.
I guess that is kind of the being subconsciously told not to platonically touch each other. I mean, if you feel the pressure of like saying no homo to something that is extremely platonic, I think that there's something wrong there.
Fellas, is it gay to make eye contact?
Yeah, seriously. It's like, dude, calm down.
I only ever hear dudes say that. I never hear women say, ladies, is it lesbian to make eye contact? It's always men.
But yeah, it's kind of like, you telling me I look good today doesn't require you to say no homo. I'm not going to automatically think, this guy want to shove his dick in my ass tonight? What the fuck is going on? Like, no, I'm like, hey, cool, thanks, man. I worked really hard to get my outfit together this morning. It's just like, calm down, dude. High school was a long time ago. It's like literally half my life ago.
Number 4. People believe paying for togetherness is pathetic. Many men are professional cuddlers, but professional cuddling is not a manly job, if that makes any sense, since professional cuddling is undervalued labor. Everyone affiliated with the cuddle industry is deemed pathetic.
I thought you were saying that people who hire professional cuddlers or people who hire sex workers are pathetic.
People believe paying for togetherness is pathetic. Since professional cuddling is undervalued labor, everyone affiliated with the cuddle industry is deemed pathetic.
Oh, you're saying both people are. I see.
Well, I did also mention that professional cuddling is not a very masculine job. I think that's one of the reasons why people deem it pathetic.
Probably. I know that I was guilty because I used to think like pretty pathetic that you have to hire someone, like you have to hire a sex worker to have sex with you, and you can't go out, meet people, and just have sex the normal way. You got really desperate and you had to hire someone to have sex with you. That's the only way someone would be willing to have sex with you. I admit that I was like, I'd fall into that category, but I think now I just like whatever. I feel like I mean, if you want to do it, go for it. I don't know. No judgment now. A lot of labor isn't valued, even if there are more men in professional cuddling. I feel like cuddling is kind of a thing that I'm a man. The only thing I cuddle are bears that I try to wrestle so I can get bear skin so I can survive the winter. It's toxic masculinity shit, so.
I wonder if you had any, how do I put it, preconceived notions before I started reading my list, because even before I started typing, I was like, I bet you 95% of the things in the social reasons why is going to have to do with toxic masculinity.
I don't know if I can give a definition. I can give an example of toxic masculinity. The urge to want to appear manly at the cost of making you look like a fucking moron.
I don't think people are gonna understand. Okay, because what I instantly thought was believing that if you are not the most masculine person ever, then you're nothing.
The people that call other people, I guess it's mostly guys, maybe girls too, but the guys that say like, ooh, I'm such an alpha, yeah, those, like, that's a huge red flag that their toxic masculinity is showing, but maybe they're talking about physics equations and they're like, oh, I'm the alpha particle and you're the beta decay, hey, they just get a little bonus physics lesson there.
I'm trying to elucidate. I think
And I'm trying to elucidate nuclear fusion.
I think the reason why so many people try so hard to convince others, okay, maybe convince themselves as well, but I think why so many individuals try their hardest to persuade others into believing that they're manly is because they just look at the entire world, life itself, through the lens of masculinity. So I think the first 4 reasons I gave encapsulated a lot of why the cuddle industry is just not thriving, or the cuddle industry is not bigger than it is now. For number 5, I felt the need to include people have chiroptophobia. I myself struggled with that as a kid. Chiroptophobia is the phobia of being touched. It often originates from violence. So I was physically assaulted when I was around 14, 15 years of age. People do develop it from sexual violence as well. When I was in elementary school, one of my favorite, if not my favorite TV show was If It's Me or the Dog. Sometimes the dog trainer would have to train a dog that has gone through animal abuse. It's not the most rational thinking, but sometimes dogs get along more with one gender than another gender of humans. It all goes back to trauma, because trauma just really messes up the brain. I did not look up domestic violence statistics in the Pacific, but I know it's unfortunately high worldwide. And many people evade talking to anyone about trauma due to shame.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Thank you to my significant other for agreeing to be a part of this episode. And thank you so much for listening. If you're one of my patrons, thank you for supporting this podcast. If you're not already a patron, my Patreon literally ranges from $1 a month to $150 a month. So you got a lot of options. And Pro Cuddle Hustle is a passion project for me. Your patronage is not only supporting me, but the current and aspiring professional cuddlers and I guess cuddle party facilitators who listen to Pro Cuddle Hustle. If you haven't already, please leave reviews on Spotify, YouTube, Listen Notes, Castbox, Podchaser, and Podcast Addict. Preferably 5-star reviews, but I guess if you didn't like the show, I'm open to feedback. I'm always accepting emails. If you leave me a positive review, there is a chance I'll review it in a future episode. Also, please share this podcast on your social media. Please tag me as well. I may not be on every social media, but I'm on most. I'm on Reddit, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. Don't ask me about TikTok, okay? If you share your review on one of your socials and you tag me, that will increase the likelihood of me finding your review so I can read it on air. And I mainly use Linktree to keep track of all the platforms that my podcast is available in. I also manage 2 different Facebook groups. One is called Ask a Professional Cuddler. The second one is called Professional Cuddlers and SW Only. Please only join the latter if you are a professional cuddler or a sex worker. I'm still in the process of uploading all of my podcast episodes to xbiz.tv. Thank you for your patience. My email address is felicityazra@gmail.com. Unfortunately, Patreon is getting less and less accepting of all creators. I'm not allowed to advertise my in-person services on Patreon, even if they're platonic. As I am speaking, I recently returned to the SF Bay Area from New Orleans. I had a blast in New Orleans, so I am accepting cuddle bookings in the Bay Area again. Screening and deposits are mandatory. Vaccination and negative COVID tests are required. Longer bookings will be prioritized. I accept deposits through Venmo, Cash App, and Patreon. I don't know if y'all are aware, but I am one of the moderators for the subreddit r/professional cuddling. There's only 100 members of that subreddit, so if you use Reddit, please join that subreddit because quite frankly, it is dead. As for my podcast subreddit, that will be r/procuddlehustle. I'm thinking about using my subreddit the same way I use my Patreon, in that on Patreon, I recently started doing what I call roundup, but on Patreon, it's monthly roundup, and I want to use Reddit for weekly roundups. You'll know what I'm talking about if you visit those pages. Catch y'all later. You have been listening to episode 22 of Felicity Azra's podcast, Pro Cuddle Hustle.